Okay, the first question we're looking at is essentially a trace table. We're tracing the algorithm through this algorithm here and trying to establish what the scores are going to be. And the data is being inputted as 12, 16, 17, and 11. We don't have all, we have one initialized thing, which is max age 0, which comes from here. And we're going along, we're initializing the list, this array, and that 4 indicates what? The size of the array. So it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3. This for loop starts at 0 to 3, makes sense, right? And so index will be 0, then it'll be 1, then 2, then 3. Age list at position index equals input. That's actually not quite how the syntax works, but essentially it's inputting a value. The int value will be 12. First time around, and then 16, yeah, there we go. And we're comparing these two here to fit max range. So I guess we can start going through it. What's the first thing that's going to happen then? So array list, there's no thing for the size of the array list. So the first thing will be that the index will be set to 0. So the first value we're putting in there is this. Looking at, yeah, if we're looking at that, we're putting 12 into what position? 0. So we're putting 12 into that box there. And then, is the list bigger than max age? It is, because max age is 0. Then max age equals age list. So max age will be set to 12. And the position 0. So this is remembering where it found it. And so we're down here, and then we're saying end if. We come back. Next index. So index is now 1. We're inputting a value at position index. So we're inputting what value? 16. Into what position? 1. So into that box we put 16. And then we've got, and then we're saying, is that bigger than max age? Yeah. Which it is, 16 is bigger than 12. Therefore max age becomes, position becomes 1. And then that if statement's finished. We come back to the for loop. Index is now 2. Exactly. Oops, sugar, pick the wrong thing. 2. What do I need to edit next?
17.
So 17 goes into age list at position 2. Max age. So is age list at 2 bigger than max age? Yeah. 17 is bigger than 16. So therefore max age becomes 17. Position becomes 2. If stops, index is now 3. We'll put what in position 3? 11. Max age becomes 11? No, because 11 is smaller than 12. Therefore, the if statement never happens. Therefore, the position stays where it was before. There's 2 ways of doing it. You can either just make a change if it's updated on here, or you could just put 17 and 2 there as well. But either way, there's 2 conventions to do it. And then at the end it says print age list position. Oh, sorry. Next index would then be 4, and that would be outside the range. So the for loop terminates, and then you output what?
17 and 2.
Yeah, 17 and 2. Okay, so now we're dealing with the use of an array. Something that actually Finn pointed out during the test, and he's quite right. An array starts at index 0. So you should go from 0 to 19. Quite right. She would like to sort them into 2 groups for a group activity. Write a pseudocode algorithm that will read the 20 names and then output lists consisting of every other pupil name. And if you look, it's not by alphabetical. It's just by chronological, i.e. what comes first come, first served. What tool are you going to use to allow you to split?
Mod.
Yeah, mod and if and what? Well, so if mod, but mod what?
2.
Yeah, mod 2 equals 0. Equals, quite right. Yeah, quite right. Equals 0. Do this thing, add to this group 1 array, else add the value to the group 2 array. Yes? Yeah. And then you write a for loop, because we know how many times it's going to go around. Right, so let's put some of this into action then. In fact, all the questions for it, I've tried to be helpful, and I've included this here. So you've got stuff around outputting to a screen, the input output, the iteration stuff, it's the for loop and while loop, and arrays.
I did slightly different.
It actually looks better, honestly, if they're... So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be allowing the person to input these values dependent on whether it's an odd or an even number, which we will determine by using mod. we'll either put it in one array or the other. And I'm going to be using a for loop that's going to start at... Feel free to jump in at any time, guys. It's going to start at...
0.
There you go. So I'm using I, short for index. I'm starting at 0, and I'm going to go up to, in my case, 19. Okay. So if it is even, I should put it in... Well, look in here.
No, just print it.
Ironically, it's like group 1, yes, is the name of the array, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not the end of it. Bracket around it. So we need this to essentially, the first time around, say 0, and then 1, and then 2, and then 3. Unfortunately, the way it's going to work is the first time around it will say 0, and then it'll be 2, and then it'll be 4, and then it'll be 6, 8, 10. I'm suggesting
Damn, that's a big bracket.
there you go, div.
I was thinking about that, but I was worried it wouldn't work, so I went.
If you think about it, if it was 0 or 1, 1 div 2 would return 0.
That's the thing. I didn't know if it.
It's called an integer to divide. So what it does, it will just return the whole number component. So 0 divided by 2 is 0. 1 divided by 2 is 0.5, but it'll chop off the end bit, it'll make it 0. 2 divided by 2 would make it 1. 3 divided by 2 makes it 1.5, but div 2 would...
No, when it.
So in terms of inputting it, it's the variable there, which in case is this bit, equals input, and then we ask the question. So we go equals, and then input. And what's the question? So you use the program to store an array of 20 people's names, right?
Enter people name.
Yes.
Please.
Okay, right. What else do we need to do to finish this off?
We have an accident.
If, and then we need a else. So else what? If it's not even, it is, therefore it's not group 1, it will be group
2.
Oh no, I picked the wrong thing. We need to do this element here where it says, we've inputted the 20 names, but we now need to output the list consisting of every other pupil. I could put it inside there, but realistically I think that's wrong, because you're going to be outputting it as you're inputting it.
Yeah.
So I think underneath here we do another for loop, and in that for loop we're going to output all the values from group 2. So for I equals 0, what does it need to go up to?
0 to 9.
That's exactly right. Why are we not saying 19?
Because there's 2 numbers.
Because now there's only 10 values in each, right? In fact, what you could say, if you wanted to, you could say length group 2 minus 1. I mean, I don't think that would make life any easier, but anyway. And then what do I do here? I say print. What am I printing? What?
Choosing group 2 I. Square brackets I.
Square brackets I. That's right.
And next I.
Next I. What else do I need to do?
If you're making another for loop for the other group.
It just says write every other, so I'm assuming it's just one group they want. Because you don't need, otherwise, you know, it says, and then output lists consisting of every other pupil. Oh, no, it's nuts. It probably does. I'm not doing that.
That's multiple lists.
All right, okay. In that case, we probably are going to have to do another for loop.
Yeah, I think
Oh, crap. I don't have any space, so I'll do it here. For I
10 to 19.
equals 0 to 9. Okay, are we finished? Yeah, I think so. Okay. Okay, here's where the marks will come from. This will be done perfectly with no confusion whatsoever, as I am well known for. Thank you, everybody.
Can I get 'em off the first
Shh,
one?
quiet you. See here? I would say that's a mark for saying that your for loop that it goes around 20 times. Get a mark for making use of mod 2 to assign it even. Get another mark that you've actually then using that to assign the values to that. So that's 3. Another mark for assigning it to another list that you've got the 2 groups are doing it and they're hopefully correct. And then a final mark for doing this at the end. The 2 outputs. Guys, well that's how it is. People, now here, here's the question we've got here, and I'll be honest, I think it's asked in quite a poor manner. The AAA, BBB thing's not helpful, but now I gave you names. Unfortunately, I have not done that myself, so what can you do?
There's names.
So the idea is basically that you have two arrays. One array is containing the number of medals that different schools are getting, and the other one is holding their names. And it says, for instance, here we got AAA, BBB, CCC, and DDD are the 4 schools, very powerful names. And because 4 is there, it means that this A1 has 4, 7, and the B has got 7, C has got 1, and 3 has got, D has got 3. Each time a new result in the user enters a result, they're prompted to enter the school name. So 1, 2, 3, or 4 in its name, okay? And then if they wrote 1, then it needs to update that value in that array by 1, and then if it's 2, etc. When the user enters...
You'll have to minus
Yeah, indeed. When the user enters -1 for the school number, that means it's going to be finished. Okay, and we need to write the pseudocode for it. Now, this way it's going to work is you're going to be asked the question repeatedly. Have I told you about there being 2 types of loops, essentially? Definite and indefinite?
Yeah.
Right. So in this situation, how many times are they going to enter the number of medals?
You don't know.
You don't know. It will be terminated when they enter -1. So what's the 2 types of loops we can use?
Repeat until.
Repeat, until, or while. Either way. I might do repeat until.
I did repeat until.
Okay, I might do repeat. Repeat until it becomes -1, right? So repeat. So I'm going to start strong by putting repeat.
It's always good when you start with repeat.
There you go. It's all going to go downhill from now. And what are we expecting the person to do? We need to say what?
Input a school number to add a medal, or enter -1 to end.
So we need a variable. How about num for the school number?
I put school ID.
Eric.
I put school.
I put school ID.
I put.
All right, actually, school's better actually because
School
num is too right. I write school. I tell you why I'm going to put school. It's got less left.
School, so use school to thing.
I
All
put
right.
school _ ID.
Sk ID.
No, do H.
You're welcome.
Because then it'd be
Sk
Yes.
sk ID.
It's skid.
Telling you I'm on top of this. And then what's the command to input a value?
Input.
Equals
Input.
input, and then we ask the question. What's the question?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Realistically, we probably should output 1 is this, 2 is this school, 3 is this school, 4 is this school. But for argument's sake, let's say we've done that, because let's look at the core algorithm, and let's just say, please input school number. Now that they're going to say 1, 2, 3, or 4, what should we do with it?
I do if so.
Because we need to validate, don't we? We need to say if it's...
Yeah. If it's 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah.
And if.
There's 2 ways we can do this if statement. We can either define what we are looking for and accept it, or define what we're not looking for and reject it. I think probably easier to say what we are looking for. So we say if sc ID, I really probably should have left with num or whatever. Anyway, is what we're looking for?
I put less than or equal to 4.
Less than or equal to 4. Yeah, it could either go either way around.
And.
Yes, I like the emphasis. To be honest, that's good emphasis.
Yeah.
I do that, so you know.
And school num bigger or equal to.
And by that you mean sc ID. Sc ID.
Is it supposed to be less than equal sign, or can you do it less than or equal to? Like, you know,
I think I've just done it wrong.
There's more than or equal to.
you have to do
Anyway, guys. So here, yeah, I believe that. What happens there?
1.
Yeah.
No, 0.
Yeah, 1. Yeah, that's right.
1.
Yep, 1.
9,
So that's going to mean that, and so we've defined what we are looking for. So inside this if statement, we can say what? Yeah, so medal is the name of the array that's holding it,
Yeah.
and not any kind of bracket, a
Square bracket.
square bracket.
Skid -1.
Yeah, and that's important to do as well, because the first score we said it was 1, but actually the index would be at position 0. So we have to go minus, and then 1.
I put that to equal the same thing plus input.
Equals. Actually, no. What do we do?
I put because I thought when they entered the medal.
My understanding is they just say the number and it just increases by 1,
I
doesn't
thought
it?
that's what
I
they
thought
were
it's
saying.
just
I thought I
Yeah.
got medal school ID -1 equals medal school ID -1
Because that's
plus
what you did
1.
last Tuesday.
So shut up, you. So in here, oh no, I recorded that. Anyway, here 4713. If we pick that, it should just take whatever's in that box there, the 4, and add 1 to it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And I'm low on space here, so I'm going to the question is this: if they do outside this range, so above 4 or less than 0, what should we do?
Yo, what
Ask
we
them to
doing, yeah?
enter
Can't be doing that.
properly.
I think we should probably. So we should do a. What should we put underneath there then?
Elif.
An else. We don't need an elf, do we? Because
I didn't know
Elf.
if as well.
an else for what?
I said, else if school num equals minus 1, I put, here are your results. And
That's 'cause
yeah,
they
and then
do-
it'll finish the repeat, and then,
But do we need to do that? Can't we just do it at the end? We say until -1, and then at the end of that, just say here are the school results.
That's
Do you know what I'm
'cause we're doing a repeat.
You have to be committed to the lazy lifestyle. So it's you know.
Been spending most of my life in a lazy.
Guys, so essentially we got the, if it is legitimate, we add 1 to the position in the array there. If it's not a legitimate value, we're saying number outside range. Realistically, we should say, please enter a number between 1 and 4. Here I probably should have put, if you would like to stop, please enter -1. Oops. And then until SCUD ID is -1, and therefore that repeat loop ends. So they've entered all the additional medals. Now we're going to print out the names of the school, how many medals they've got, so we can use a for loop to do it. And then we now need to know how to do that. Okay, so this little for loop will then go through a school number. I will be 0 the first time around, so it'll be school number is 1. School number at position 0 in school, which will be and then the number of medals at position 0, which will be 4, or whatever you've added in here. 8 marks. Let's figure out how we get those 8 marks, right, guys? I've got a solid marking scheme going on. Don't you worry. I know it's good. That you use. How about this? 1 mark for using a indefinite loop to be able to input the school name. Another one that you've taken in the value, the school number, by using some input. A 3rd mark for validating it to make sure it is the right one. Yes? Yeah. A 4th one that if you get that right one, you actually correctly increase the medal position by 1.
wait, can I talk to you